So your friend was just gone? The girl nodded dreamily. Yeah, she just vanished. 1 minute she was there and then, poof, she was gone. Dr. Winters tapped her pen on the page of her notepad, thinking about her client's story. It had all the makings of a Hollywood blockbuster or some weird indie horror game. Strange location, small group of kids looking for adventure, a sudden disappearance, and a time limit before everything went back to normal. All it was missing was a monster or a murderer, and it'd be ready for the screen. Did you ever find Emma? Winter asked, watching the girl as she stared at the ceiling for a while. No, she coughed, and Winter sighed as something large and bulbous fell onto her chest. Winter leaned forward and scooped it into her palm, taking it to the sink so she could store it in a jar. That was a real letdown. Winter had hoped there would be more. They had never found Emma and had been forced to leave before the water came rushing in. Neat and tidy, wrapped up with a, but we did find something. Winter jumped, turning back to find the girl staring at the ceiling as she continued to regurgitate her story. We found the inhabitants of Fender's Grotto. Emma! I yelled, running back through the park as I looked for my friend. The plastic forest loomed up around me as I ran, the glistening, fabricated trees looking like phantoms in the moonlight. Even then, I could swear I was being followed. It wasn't something seen from the corner of my eye. Not yet, but it was just that crawling feeling of eyes on me. I put it aside, not ready to admit there could be someone else here. This place had been underwater up until about an hour ago, and the thought that anything could have been waiting here was crazy. Or was it? Sara! Candace and Matt came running up to me, their eyes roving around like they could feel something watching them too. Don't just run off on your own. We've already lost Emma, and we don't want to lose you too. I don't understand where she could have gone. It was like she was there 1 minute and just gone the next. Well, Matt said, the best idea might be to go back and have a look around the house. That's the last place we saw her, so she couldn't have gone too far. That seemed like good advice, so we walked back to the fabricated house to see if we could find any trace of Emma. Emma had been one of my first close friends, and I really wanted to find her. She was so quiet and always seemed unsure of herself. I had taken it upon myself to protect her over the years. Now she was gone, and I felt like I had failed. I wanted to find her, to find who or what had taken her, and I knew that we had to be quick because the tide would be coming back soon. We went back to the lumpy-looking house, and I saw there was a door in the side of it, that half of it was missing. It was one of those doors where just the top half opens, and the bottom half must have been sealed shut. We pushed on it, but it didn't take me long to realize there were no hinges on it. I wanted to look inside in case she might be in there, and with the help of Matt and Candace, I managed to look over the tall lip of the door and see into the shadowy interior. The windows were fake, so there wasn't a lot of light coming into the strange building. It was empty on the inside, nothing but trash and discarded things that had been pushed in with the tide, but as I glanced to my left, my heart skipped a beat. Set into the wall was a giant metal something. It was all rusted steel, the wires exposed, and things were clinging to it like flesh or barnacles. As I started to scream and flounder, Matt and Candace hung on, asking what was wrong, and when the metal thing didn't swivel out immediately and try to grab me, I decided it must not be alive. I got control of myself. I looked at it a little more, really taking a good look this time as the moon came in through the open half of the door. "It looks like it might be an arm or something," I said, when they asked me what I had seen. "It was set into the wall, so I guess maybe it was meant to come out of the top part of the door? But why?" Candace was puzzled, but Matt had the answer almost immediately. "This must be Mama's house." The second he said it, I remembered. Mama, Fender's mama, was supposed to be the wise old matron who gave the puppets their daily task or wisdom. No one ever saw her. She was just a felt arm that came out of the door, and I suppose maybe they had tried to recreate it here. Can't imagine the sight of a huge disembodied arm would have been particularly nice, but I suppose for the fans of the show, Mama would have been there to talk to them and maybe tell them something about the forest. "Is Emma in there?" Candace asked. "No," I said, it's just a bunch of trash. I don't think there's a way she could have." But then something shadowy moved in the back of the house. It went galumphing along the back wall before slamming through another door and exiting Mama's house. I did fall then, landing on my butt on the wet cobbles, and when they asked me what I had seen, I wasn't sure what to tell them. I hadn't got a good look, but it looked like something big and blue that was slightly fluffy. "I don't know," I breathed as I got up, "but it went off towards the other side of the park. Maybe it took Emma. We should go after it." They agreed, though they didn't seem to like it. It had to be the people we had seen earlier. Nothing could be living here. It was underwater most of the time. Whatever the case, we decided that it was our only real lead, so we went after it. We ran around the back of Mama's house just in time to see something shadowy disappear into the woods around us. We chased it through the plastic trees, the blue thing looking lumpy and ill-proportioned in the moonlight. It was big, too, at least adult-sized, and as it broke free of the forest and went staggering towards the beach area, I saw a few other shapes standing on the shores of that washed-away water area. The sand on the beach looked more like hardpan now, time spent underwater having made it firm like concrete. I had seen pictures of it once. They used to have beach chairs, a lifeguard stand, and even a little boardwalk area where you could buy souvenirs and saltwater taffy and things. Most of that was gone now, but some of the boardwalk remained. That's where it was going, the big blue thing, and I saw others too. A small green one, an orange one with a bow, and a tall one whose color I couldn't make out. They turned to go before the blue thing could join them, and I thought maybe I saw someone with them. They were so big that it was hard to tell, but there could be a smaller form with them. Maybe. "We need to go after them," I said, taking a step forward. "We need to get out of here," Candace said. "There's 4 of them and 3 of us. We need to get the police. We need to..." "By the time we get back with the police," I yelled at her, they'll have already taken her." "Hell, by the time we get here, the water might have come back, and there'll be nothing for them to investigate. If we're going to save Emma, we have to do it ourselves." They had all disappeared, gone into the shadowy remnants of the once magnificent boardwalk. I knew they were doing something in there, robbing Emma or worse, and I knew that we were the only ones who could help her. I took a step onto the hard sand, and when the others came behind me, I was glad. I didn't think I'd have had the courage to go through with it if they weren't there. The boardwalk creaked under our feet as we looked for her. Parts of it threatened to break with every step, and I was worried that we would end up under the boardwalk soon. The storefronts were mostly shells, the husks of ice cream parlors, soda jerks, and gift shops. None of them could have hidden the four creatures, and it wasn't until I came to something that had to have been a gift shop that I figured we had found the place. It was still mostly intact, the windows gone and the shadows inside deep, and the door was broken open, the moonlight that spilled in decidedly unhealthy looking. And it was the last place I really wanted to go. Matt put a hand on my shoulder as I started to go in, shaking his head as he put a finger to his lips. "We can't just walk in there half-cocked," he whispered. "Let's sneak in and see what we can find. Maybe they're just holding her for ransom, or they left her here after they took her stuff. If we can get in and get out without being seen, then we can help Emma and get out of here." It was a sound plan, and so we started in through the front, keeping low so we wouldn't be seen. The inside was probably once eggshell white, but was now a kind of dusky gray. The shelves were mostly standing, rusted and metal and bolted to the ground. I can't imagine how they had lasted this long, but we were pretty glad for the protection that they gave us as we moved in between them, keeping low, keeping our heads down. And as we came to what would have been the front, we found something sitting against the counter. It was Emma's bag, and there was no sign of any of the things or Emma. Her bag being here made us think that she had to be close, though. "So they took her?" Matt asked as he looked around. "I don't know," I said, "but we need to find her so we can get out of here." "No, duh," Candace said. "First we have to..." There was a noise from behind the counter then, a low, gurgling noise that came bubbling up from the depths. It was unlike anything I had ever heard. It sounded like what I assume a drowning man's last breath sounds like. The sound of a creature who lives in the depths of the sea, coming up suddenly. We all turned as one towards the counter, as some snuffling horror rose from the darkness. It was blue, the body like a lumpy, overstuffed toy. The fur on it was matted and wet, the fabric weathered and holey. It looked like a bundle of wire hangers, the fabric pushing in odd ways as it stood up, and its dead eyes and frozen face were staring at us. It had large, wide eyes, the patterns scrubbed completely clean, and the smiling mouth was broken by small jags and blemishes from time spent below the water. But that honestly made it worse. It came smiling up from the darkness, those white, horrifying eyes piercing into us as we stood stock still. Candace broke the silence as she screamed. Her voice echoed off the walls, and the blue creature jumped over the counter as it buried her in a mountain of wet blue fabric. We should have done something. We should have helped her. We should have called the police or done anything to help her. Instead, Matt and I ran from the gift shop in a state of extreme panic. We continued to run up the boardwalk, the boards groaning as we put our full weight down on them. And when we finally got off and back onto the sidewalk, we were both panting heavily. "I think," Matt said, panting, "I think that was Corfin." "You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.